there anything we can't hear with 4 people? Yeah.
You have a quorum.
On the air?
Yeah.
All right, I call to order this meeting of the Borough of Oradell Zoning Board of Adjustment. Notice of this meeting was published in the official newspaper, prominently posted in Borough Hall, and filed with the clerk's office in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must always be maintained. Any questions and comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision. Let's do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I was hoping someone else would wander in during the Pledge of Allegiance, but I guess we can do a roll call. If you don't mind, I don't have the list.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, I have.
Ms. Day,
Here.
Ms. Odinsky,
Here.
Mr. Devine,
Here.
Mr. Santaniello.
Here. All right, that's
And as I
4.
said, Mr. Barrows was the only one that said he couldn't make it. So possibly someone will show up.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I don't know if that means for any of the cases that we're missing the minimum of 5. Do we know?
Well,
Is there any case that we can't hear because of only having 4?
unless it's a D variance, and that would be Traphagen.
Okay. All right, well, let's proceed and see if somebody wanders in. All right. First up,
Maybe you want to hear the others first?
maybe we can do that, yeah. That works. We do have a couple of things to take care of. So approval of the April 21st minutes. That was sent electronically. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the minutes?
No.
If not, can we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
All right, can we have a second?
I'll second it.
All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good. Minutes are good to go. All right. So that's good. Correspondence. Correspondence sent to the zoning board is on file and available in the construction official's office, if anyone so desires. Zoning board procedures. So, the zoning board is a forum for property owners to apply for exceptions to local zoning ordinances. If what someone would like to do with their property isn't something the building department can approve, they can seek a variance via this process. The way we conduct these meetings follows the procedures laid out by the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law, and that's what determines what can be said and when it can be said. Thanks in advance, everyone, for your understanding and cooperation. Okay, that being said, so we have 3 cases tonight. Oh, Steve just left. No new cases will be started after 10:30 p.m. Around 10:30, we'll look for a logical break point, and we will pick up at the next meeting. Any case not heard will be carried over to the next meeting. When Steve walks back in, let's swear in our professionals. We have this memorialization of a resolution. So, we have a resolution for calendar 874-24. This is the Bergen County United Way Madeline Housing Partner. We can't vote on this. We have 2 people. So would anyone?
You could vote on that.
Can we approve it with 2 people?
Yeah.
Okay. would one of you like to make a motion to approve this?
I would like to make a motion that we approve, whatever the case was, Matlin Housing,
right.
with the specifications that have been documented in the resolution that was prepared and distributed to the board.
Okay. Feel like seconding?
I second it.
All right.
I'm in favor.
Yes, calling the roll. Mr. Devine?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Day?
Yes.
All right. Resolution passes. We are not qualified to vote. And everyone else is absent. Okay, I'm going to pass that to you to sign. Okay. As Steve said, there's four of us here now. The two residential applications, I don't believe you have a D variance involved. Is that,
I don't. I'm here on behalf of Vigna.
okay. In that case, let's do that first. And then hopefully someone will show up and we can get our five, and then you can decide whether you want to, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We also need Steve so we can swear in our,
I could swear them for now,
Okay.
and when Steve comes in, I'll just
Yeah, I
swear
think
him.
Steve's just making phone calls.
okay, all right, let's do that.
Can you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Maybe I should say this too.
Okay,
I just called.
yeah,
They didn't pick up.
they didn't pick up?
Nope.
We're gonna swear you. We swear both of them. So
Excuse me?
I'm gonna swear you, put you under oath.
Swearing in, sorry.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're gonna give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, let's move forward with calendar 889-25, Vigna. And I believe Tom is going to step down.
Does that work?
That work? Does that screw up our math? If Tom-
does.
It does?
Yes.
We can't?
Yeah, and you don't have a quorum.
We don't have a quorum. All right.
I mean, just as a point of disclosure, I'm also a member of White Peaches. I know Mr. Vigna. Whether or not it's necessary to carry on or not.
Maybe ask the attorney what she feels?
So you're friends with him?
Acquaintance, not friends.
And do you have any financial or?
No. Other than we're both bondholders of White Peaches Country Club, which is also borders, the property borders, the property in question here.
I'm not sure if it was on the 200-foot list, the country club. Can I ask, you yourself were not on the 200-foot list? You didn't get a notice from me?
No.
Okay, so that's good. I'll check.
Yeah, maybe check the
list.
200-foot list. And
Well, White Beaches is the entire property.
Yes.
So you back up to White Beaches?
I think you do. Never a dull moment, right?
I'm pretty sure you do.
You do.
Always exciting.
So I don't see the club on here.
It's not the club, it's the property.
Right. But I'm just wondering if it could be more than 200 feet.
Is the,
I
is
think
the,
I think the
The property line abuts it.
backs up, yeah.
is the property owned by the club, or is the property owned by someone and the club is operated by a separate entity?
Say that again?
Because if you're a bondholder in the club, that doesn't mean a bondholder in the property, so maybe it's a non-issue.
I think you're talking about the whole property.
Oh,
Anytime somebody has gone for a variance
yeah,
along Beechwood and backs up against the White Beaches, that's within the 200-foot list.
okay.
Actually, my client just advised me that he resigned from the club a number of years ago, I think 7. So he,
Okay, I'm sorry, I had not realized
that's
that.
okay.
Fine, okay.
Problem solved.
I think we're good.
That works.
All right. So you have 4 of us.
Stays, it just keeps on-
All right,
Ready
all
for
yours.
Mr.
Yes,
Steve?
thank you
Okay.
for your patience.
No problem. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Allison Cassetta from the firm of Harwood Lloyd, appearing on behalf of the applicants, Robert and Trish Vigna. They are the owners of the property at 256 Beechwood Road, where they have lived for the last 38 years. The property is Block 1401, Lot 3 on the tax map. It's located in the R2 residential zone and developed with a single-family home. The applicants are here tonight seeking variance relief to construct a new attached garage and convert their existing attached garage into living space. We do have our project architect here tonight, so he'll tell you a little bit more about the project. But the variances that we're seeking are maximum building coverage. We're just slightly over the limit of 25% at 25.69%. And then minimum side yard, this you may consider either one variance or 2. You have a requirement of 35 feet for the total, both sides, and we have 25.68 feet proposed, again, for the total. And then you have a requirement of 15 feet on each side. And on the eastern side, we're proposing 6.08 feet. So before I bring up our architect, I just want to confirm that our proof of notice was received and found to be adequate.
Yes.
Thank you. With that, I'll call our architect, Joseph Sarah.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And can you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Joseph F. Sarah Jr., S-A-R-R-A.
And do you want to qualify him?
Sure. Mr. Sauer, would you give the board the benefit of your educational background and qualifications, please?
I have a bachelor's in architectural science, a master's in architecture, and a master's in industrial management.
And is your license current as of today?
Yes.
And I believe you have testified before this board previously, correct?
In January, yes.
Thank you.
I think we can accept you as an expert witness.
Thank you very much. And I know you have a couple of exhibits, so if I could just ask you, when you're referring to them, to tell the board what they are, the dates, and Mr. Chairman, one of his exhibits is the architectural plan that was already submitted. Is it your practice to mark those as well?
I believe so. I think we do that. Well, do we mark what's already been submitted or just what's shown?
No, whatever's been submitted, no, but then if you have anything new, then it would be
Anything
an
new.
exhibit.
Okay.
Understood. So if you would, begin the board by orienting the board to the property, explaining the existing improvements and what surrounds it.
Joe, you want to take the...
This drawing wasn't submitted originally. All it is an aerial site plan. This is the,
I'm sorry, was that marked?
no.
Not yet.
Why don't-
You can mark that as A1, and if you could just identify it by the title and the date on the exhibit.
PA2 is the drawing number. And it's a March 1st date, but it was not submitted.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay. And it's an aerial?
Yes.
Okay.
This is just showing Beechwood Road the property in question, which is on the northern side of Beechwood, that backs up to the golf course. This is the existing house. The existing garage is under the upper floor, right here. The applicant wants to convert that to a guest room and then add a new two-car, one-story garage adjacent to it, which straddles the existing paver driveway and a little bit of the grass side yard. This is the existing lower floor, like I described before, existing garage, which is original to the house, undersized, low headroom height. So the applicant finds it hard to park most standard cars in the garage now and can't get a garage door opener, a current garage. He has one from 1980 that no company will install a new one because it doesn't fit. And then new modern cars can't fit. He has adult children that live on the West Coast with families when they come visit. He just needs the additional bedroom space to visit. He just wants to add two-car garage, one story, 13 feet, 9.5 inches in height. To park the cars, have enough room. It's going to match, the garage is 569 square feet. It's going to match the style of the existing house with all the trims, windows, siding, the scallops that he has in the front of the existing house. The reason that it's pulled away from the house is because he has an office with windows on the first floor, and on the second floor he has bedroom windows, which he didn't want to lose with the addition of the garage. So we pulled it away. He had an existing door to the house that we created a little breezeway, and he kept all the windows for egress and for light into the office. On the site plan, we straddled part of the existing paver driveway. We had to pull it back further off from the house just to be able to get the cars to maneuver in and out of the garage. So part of the coverage is already existing with paver driveway, and then he's going on a grassy area. And one of the reasons we've gotten the side yard variance for the being close to the side yard is because of the breezeway and pulling it off the house. He has reached out to his neighbors. He's shown them plans, had discussions with them. He's gotten no negative reaction or objections. Very positive for the construction of the house and the garage that he wants to put up. There is already existing planting along this mature arborvitaes against that property of the neighbor, and that would be remaining.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have just a couple follow-ups, if that's okay. I apologize if you already mentioned it, but I'd like you to touch on the height of the garage, particularly in light of the setback variance. The garage is not nearly as tall as the house,
No,
correct?
it's one story, 13 feet, 9.5 inches.
So in your opinion, does that mitigate the deficient setback on that side because it's not quite as tall?
It keeps it in relation to the neighbor's house, which is a one-story living room, which this will be the same height or actually a little lower than his neighbor's. So it's keeping in line with the adjacent property.
Thank
And it's
you.
lower than his existing house, which is 21 feet.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to touch on soil movement because it did come up in our conversations
Sure.
with the board as we were filing the application. Can you confirm that we are well below the threshold where we would need approval from the board for soil movement?
Yes, it's approximately about 15 cubic feet cubic yards of soil for just the footings and foundations. So we're well under the requirement for any kind of special hearing.
So we'll work through that with the borough engineer when the time comes?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Let's start with our professionals. Dave, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I can ask a couple questions. Just for the record, we didn't perform a formal review on this, but I can ask some questions.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying the soil movement, because that was going to be my first question.
Sure.
I just want to mention that Mr. Campiello,
Yes, Mr. Campiel has arrived.
Sorry. All right, so so as far as the property, I guess there's going to be an increase of impervious coverage as a result?
A slight increase, but well under the zoning requirements.
Okay. But as far as stormwater management, is there anything being proposed?
He already has 3 retention tanks on site, 2 500-gallon and 1 400-gallon.
Okay.
And the corner of the driveway, which is not being modified, has a grate, goes to the detention basin, which we're keeping in that location.
I guess when you do, just so you have it and you're prepared, when you submit for soil movement, should the board act favorably, you're going to have to demonstrate that the drainage that's there has the capacity to handle the additional impervious coverage.
Okay.
While I understand there's stuff there today, something will need to be addressed to handle the increase.
Sure.
Those are the only questions I had.
Okay, makes sense. Let's
Nothing
turn
from
it
me.
to our planner, and sorry for not saying hi.
No, it's fine. I'm Jessica Troni. I'm from TNM. I'm filling in for Caroline. I have no questions for the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
nothing, Chairman.
All right. Danielle?
I have nothing.
All right. Any members of the board? Questions?
I just have one question. I guess just to follow on to what was said about the drainage, that you would have to demonstrate that the capacity is there, but I mean, in terms of the risk of, you moving a slanted roof to your neighbor's property, a lot closer, what is the risk of that? I mean, will you be sure that that's, the ground is graded correctly as not to flood the neighbor's property?
Oh, the new garage will be tied into the underground tanks. So there will be no just groundwater that's sitting.
And the total coverage, so right now, the additional 14 feet or so that you'll be over the setback, the theoretical setback line that you're asking for the variance on, is that area now part of the driveway? Or is that now?
Yes, no, the driveway is right here and it's right onto the property line.
Driveway.
Yeah, the paver driveway goes along the property line to the fence, which is midway back of the existing house. So the garage is going to be part on the existing paver driveway, and then there's a grassy area right at the back of the paver driveway that will take over, just because we had to push it back far enough to be able to get the cars in and out of the new garage and not disturb any of the planting and raised block wall that the applicant has at the beginning of the driveway.
I think I know where you're. The previous picture where we were looking at the south elevation, the east downward slope of the new garage, does that lead to a gutter that's tied into downspouts that
yes.
go to? Okay,
Yeah.
is that what you? So, because that would be the neighboring property.
That is correct. It's very close to the neighboring property line at that point.
Yeah, it's going to have gutters, leaders, and tied into the underground.
Right. But we're not moving the driveway over there. It's already there.
We're not moving the driveway at all. The applicant wants to minimize the amount of the driveway that gets disturbed.
Chairman, can I ask another question, piggybacking off of that? So as far as the proposed improvements, are there any proposed changes to drainage patterns on the property?
No.
Is there any change to proposed grading on the property?
Nope.
So everything will remain as is, with the exception of a garage being constructed over top of the driveway and part
Yep.
of the lawn?
That's correct.
I do have a question. The garage, is there any intent of it becoming habitable space?
At this time, no.
You might want to think about putting a resolution into the resolution that it won't become habitable space.
Would that be an agreeable condition of approval?
We're talking about the new garage,
New
correct?
garage.
We're fine with that.
Okay.
I have a
Any other-
question.
yeah.
Yeah, so the encroachment on the side yard is due, as you said, to the, the new garage, right? Which is understandable, given everything that you described, why the applicants would want a different situation than they have right now. But did you look at any alternative designs that would, result in the garage not being as close to the neighbor's property line as it currently
We've done-
is? 6 feet versus 15 is fairly significant in my mind.
We've gone around with several design options from the beginning. In the very beginning, the applicant wanted the garage further up and closer to the house, and working with but he wanted to keep the existing paver driveway and the block wall he has all along this portion of the driveway intact, which is raised grade. So we pushed it back, and then we created the breezeway because of all the windows in the office that he'd be losing if we had to put the garage closer to give you a greater side yard setback. And then kept the second floor windows, all these windows up here are still intact. If we put the garage closer, we would lose all those windows, egress windows from bedroom on the second floor.
No, I know it's going to sound like an odd question, but one-car garage or another alternative unusual around in this area would be a deeper,
Tandem garage.
that's one car wide.
Tandem I've done a tandem for a plumber in River Edge, but that was his work garage where he has his trucks pulled in and everything. Tandem in residential is tough if you'd be jockeying cars around in the driveway. Like I said, the garage was bigger in size originally. From the applicant wanted a little bigger garage, but knowing that we were close to the setback on the side and we were over, I shrunk it down as much. We went from a 2-door garage to a single-door garage and shrunk it down to give as much room as we could, and still giving them enough room to get 2 cars in the garage.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the board with questions? My only question, along those same lines with regard to the proximity of the new garage to the property line, do you know how close the neighbor's building structure is to the property line?
If I remember correctly, I want to say
Ballpark, yeah.
10 feet, maybe 15, but it's, like I said, it's the living room of his neighbor, no windows on that side, the fireplace is on that side, and all the air conditioning, HVAC equipment, the condensers or everything are all on that side. And like I said, the mature plantings, there's about 12, 15-foot high arborvitaes here that the applicant is planning on keeping as a screening that are all mature already.
And beyond the backyard is the country club?
Yes.
So nothing that you'd need to drive a fire truck into the backyard to put out?
No.
Okay. That's sometimes why they leave space. Okay. Anyone else? Questions up here? Let's turn it to the public. Questions from the public for this witness only? All right. No takers. We'll close it to the public.
I have a
Oh,
question.
yep.
Did you give any thought to a detached garage?
There was thought, but by detaching it, the zoning will change, but then you have to walk outside to go into the side if you're bringing packages. It was a preference of the homeowner.
Okay. All right, any other questions? We're good on questions. We've offered to the public. Next witness, or is that the whole case?
That's it. I would like to thank you for your time, give a very brief closing statement, if that's
Sure.
okay with you. So thank you for listening to us. As was testified, the building coverage is slightly over, but the lot coverage is compliant, which we think serves to mitigate that variance. The applicants, as we stated, are looking to upgrade and improve their home. The garage has been designed as respectfully as possible to the neighbors, particularly that closest neighbor to the east, who expressed that they don't have an issue with this. And I do know that every application has to be considered on its own merits, but we are aware of a number of other homes in the neighborhood that have similar looking setbacks. I don't have dimensions, but I was able to look online at some aerial photos if you're interested in seeing them, just to show that this is not out of character with the neighborhood. So I'll defer to you on whether you'd like me to hand those out. You're probably more familiar with the neighborhood than I am, so either way is fine with me.
It would be your call if you want to use that. We know we'd have to mark it. I don't know. It's like you said, everything is evaluated on its own merit. So you know.
I'll just leave it at, from a visual perspective, we don't think this is out of character with the neighborhood. And based on the testimony that we've presented, we do think you can find that the benefits outweigh any detriment from these variances, and that the variances will not cause substantial detriment to the public good or substantial impairment to the zone plan or master plan. And with that, we would ask for a vote of approval on these variances.
Okay. All right, before we move beyond, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. They need 4 for this? Is that correct? You
I
need,
don't think we need any
Just
specific
the
number.
majority.
you just need a majority of who's here or a majority of 7?
No, of who's here.
Oh, so you need 3.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's discuss, and then we'll give you one more option if you want to push to the next next meeting when there's more people, or if you want us to vote now. Maureen, you want to start?
Sure. So, as I said before, understandable why the residents would want to make this change. The design looks in keeping with the neighborhood, is tastefully done. As I mentioned before, the side yard variance is material, and 6 feet away from the property line is quite tight, and there do appear to be other options that the applicant could consider. So those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Okay. Carlo?
Am I even allowed to vote? Because I've read everything and I've been by the property.
And
I
you-
haven't heard the testimony, and so,
I was going to say, you came in after testimony was presented,
yes, I did.
so
I would say probably to be safe, you should refrain from voting. And that's no offense to you at all.
I think if you came in just at the start of it, it would be a different discussion.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to
Yeah,
ask before I said
I
anything
hate
else.
doing that, but
It's no problem. It's no problem. I apologize for being late.
Fair enough. All right, it's all yours.
I'm also, concerned about the proximity to the property line, and whether or not the existing drainage can handle the additional, water flow from the garage. But it looks like you'd be adding, is it, currently a 3-bedroom house
Is it 3 bedrooms currently?
Yes.
to a 4-bedroom? So it does have some benefits to, bringing the home more up to current standards as far as bedrooms for the area.
Okay.
Again, I have the same concern relative to the property line. 6 feet is very close to it, and to the point where, whether the extra breezeway, I can't see, the windows, I understand why you did the breezeway, to keep it, I guess airflow, visibility out of those. But whether or not the breezeway has to be as long as it is, and whether there are other alternatives in tandem and all, because while some of the houses may get closer to one another, 6 feet from a property line, is a substantially short distance.
Yeah, the 6 feet is a little bit of a concern. There is such thing, turns out, as a 1 2/3 car garage. Ask me how I know. And sometimes a 1 2/3 car garage can get you to 10 feet from the property line. With the neighboring property being as close as it is, plus the mechanicals being there, and then this being 6 feet right on top with shrubbery, right? You said that there was mature planting on that side?
There's mature planting,
Along the side of the garage? Yeah.
well,
Along the side
of the driveway.
the proposed, okay. Yeah, it's a little tight for me. But, I mean, I do see the benefit. That is a nice addition. I don't know if I understand the breezeway as well, and the benefits of it, but I wonder if the breezeway plus the 2 cars is maybe just a bit too much. That being said, I neglected to open the application to public comment if there is any. We can do that now. Is there any? All right, we'll close it to the public. Thank you. Like I said, there's only 5 of us here. Well, and 4 voting. You would need 3?
Yeah.
That's how majorities work, yeah. Would you like to rethink and come back next time around?
Can I ask for 30 seconds with
Yeah,
my client?
yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can listen to that recording.
Submit the drainage to Mace.
Yeah.
They have not submitted any of that
Yeah.
before we actually know.
Yeah.
Looking for 5. Yeah, they have a 9-foot. And 15 is the side yard. That's R2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we'd like to do is request to be adjourned on the record to the next available meeting. I'm not sure if that's next month. Let us take a look at what we can do.
Okay.
We hear the board's concerns, and we want to work with you.
And got to get it on record, just because of our thoughts now, that's not necessarily indicative of how the voting would go. You also have any other number of members who could, change the overall opinion, but I just want to give you every chance.
Of course, and that's a factor in our request as well, knowing that there's not a full complement of the board tonight. Can I just ask, I'm assuming the meeting's being recorded,
Correct.
so absent board members would be given the
Yes.
recording to listen to and
We
watch
would ask them to,
and become eligible?
yes.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, so this is carried to our next meeting without need for further notice, is that correct?
No further notice to the public and in publication as well as 200-foot owners. And if
Okay.
you could just announce that date on the record.
The next meeting date is,
June 16th.
thank you very much, June 16th.
Thank you very much, and we will see you then.
Okay, thanks. All right. All right, we have a fifth member, so we can revert to our previous order, calendar 888-25, Mr. Traphagen.
Chairman, do you want to give them a time limit so you can hear the other application?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see, it's 10 after 8 now. Let's say 9:30.
Or if you want to hear the next application, it might be
That
short.
might be fast. If it's okay, if we could do the residential, the last residential, I think it's a much quicker application. Is that acceptable?
That's okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, then in that case, let's move on to 890-25, and that is Cahill, 668 Martin. Come on up. How are you?
How are you?
You are the applicants?
Yes. we are.
Okay, I think we need to get your...
I'll swear them
Okay.
both. If you could both raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
And if you can both please state your name, your first name, and spell your last name for the record.
Christina Cahill, Cahill.
And Greg Cahill, Cahill.
All righty. So, tell us.
All right, we are here looking for a variance to put a 6-foot fence up around our yard. We have a corner lot, so we understand that's outside of what's typically allowable. We submitted a survey, a plot plan with some highlighted colors. I think that everyone should have that. I can walk you through very briefly, and it spells out what we're looking to do. If you want, I can wait for a moment for it to come up on the screen. So towards the top of the plan there is our backyard. The yellow line represents a 6-foot white vinyl fence that we have now. And what we're looking to do is replace the lines highlighted in green, which are currently a 3-foot high fence, with a 6-foot white vinyl fence to match the line in yellow. To the right side of the plan is John Street, and the bottom of the plan is Martin Avenue. So we understand those are the two, considered to be two front yards or front-facing properties. The existing fence is actually the red line as well, that L shape there on the bottom right. That's the existing layout. And understanding that visibility may be a concern for pedestrians and traffic on Martin Avenue and John Street, we're looking to pull it back further to increase that line of sight, if that is a concern, to the just to the back corner of our house there. The two main reasons why we're looking to do this: we have two young kids, a 3-year-old and 4.5-year-old. Obviously, like to spend some time outside, and it's really just for their safety. Specifically, just in the last few months, we've had a detective and a cop from OPD stop by the house and just say people were trying to get access to our ring camera footage for packages that were stolen. People trying to open car doors on the block, so within a few houses of us. So again, just going back to the kids' safety there and having the ability to let them out in the backyard without having to worry. And the last 2 years, actually, a deer has given birth. I'm assuming it's the same mother deer, but given birth in our yard, which is great, but we were told by animal control you can't move the deer, so you kind of lose access to your yard for the kids for a month or two until that thing's able to hop out of there. So those are our big concerns and the reasons we're looking to put the fence up.
Okay. Anything, any other details?
No, we notified all the neighbors that we were required to notify, with no complaints as far as we're aware.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
All right. Let's check with our professionals.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing seems reasonable.
Steve?
As far as the reasons, it can't be personal reasons. It has to be to the property. So maybe they can discuss something in regards to the property itself.
Steve, on the property, where would a 6-foot fence be allowed, if at all, under the ordinance?
From the corner, back right corner of the house to the back property line.
So,
Straight back
so
to the
right
yellow?
meaning the way we're looking at it, so the right back, so the back.
See where the yellow is in the top
Yep.
right? From there to the corner of the house.
So that would be, if I can read through the green line there.
I'm not sure I'm
No,
following.
I see it. It's
To the front of the house.
that. That would be allowable.
Okay.
Basically where
Right, it's this, right?
That line, yeah.
Yeah, it's this.
Is that dotted line an existing fence?
No, that's just a tax map.
Oh, it's just a measurement?
lot.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry, just so I understand, so Steve, they could have a 6-foot fence along that dotted line on the right-hand side, along the line of the house, and then surrounding the property, as you see with the yellow and then the green that goes around towards the garage?
Yes. The yellow line on the top of the survey, to the right, the far right part of the yellow line. Oh, yeah, okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
This right, this right.
There we go.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
No problem.
From there to the corner of the house.
Okay. And then the yellow is okay.
That 6-foot fence, all in the rear yard, up on the side, up on this side here, and in front. So that's acceptable.
Okay. So maybe for you all, have you considered that option, which would be in compliance with the ordinance?
We did, but we do lose, as you can see, kind of a quarter of our backyard in doing that.
Yep.
So we wanted to see if we could be accommodated for this request first.
Can you speak for the board and give them, is there anything that makes your property unique? Is there any hardship you face? For example, you're on a corner lot. Is there anything that makes your property unique that could justify the variances that you're being?
I would say just how far set back we are from Martin Avenue, which is the bottom of that picture. So it wouldn't really impact the sight lines for any cars or pedestrians on John Street there or Martin Avenue. So this would have no impact on the sight line.
Yeah, I have a question. Is there any vegetation or anything along that existing fence that's there today?
There is along maybe half of the green line on the right side, maybe a little more than half, 2/3.
And what's there today?
It's those green giant trees, maybe 12 or 15 of them.
How tall are they today?
No, higher than that, probably 12 feet.
Okay. So in comparison, so it's about half the height of a 6-foot fence?
The fence would be half the height of those trees, yep.
Just to give you.
Yeah. Would the fence be outside of the trees or inside of the trees?
The fence is outside the trees.
So from the road, you'd see the fence and then the trees?
Correct.
Okay. If you were to put the fence inside the trees, how far in would that pull it?
Probably, you mean if we were to go as far as we could to those trees? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if you were to,
So from this current line, maybe like 3 feet? Because the trees that we put are right up against the current fence. So we
Okay.
could move the fence to the other side a few feet in.
Is there trees running along that property line, the full property line along the frontage there? Or no?
No, there's not.
Was there any consideration to installing a fence with a compliant height and then adding landscaping for buffering? Like arborvitaes, they can grow typically taller than a 6 feet fence.
We thought about it. Obviously, that's an added expense.
Yeah.
One that we would like to avoid, and it also wouldn't keep our friend the deer
yeah,
from jumping in there.
I get it. Corner properties are, yeah. All right, did we get all our professionals? Everyone's good? Any other board questions? No? Good. Any questions from the public? All right, we'll close it to the public. Okay. Any other, you don't have an architect or any other witnesses or anything, right?
No.
All right. So next up, procedurally, just keep me honest here. What do we need to do? Public comment?
Public comment.
Public
yes.
comment. Okay. Open for public comment. No public comment. Closed for public comment. All right. Let's talk. You want to start this time?
Sure, no problem. I understand the hardship, with the deer and trying to protect the kids, but in the past when we've seen these things, it is kind of a matter of precedence that if every corner lot starts, putting fences, I live on a corner too, and if I were to request this, I mean, it changes the kind of view of the street and everything else, and I think that's why the rules are on the books right now, only from the aesthetics of the driving down the street and everything else, that we don't have walled in property all over the place. So
I think that, the fact that you could have it compliant by moving it in to be in line with the house makes a difference for me. That, you could have what you need, the protection of your kids and from the deer, if you move the fence to be in conformity, aligned with the back of the house. So.
Okay. Carlo?
And you said the trees were right up against where the fence is, but on the inside?
Yeah,
And you gain 3 feet if you move the fence to the inside.
that's a approximate guess, yeah.
Yeah, plus one.
Yep.
Plus one. I don't have anything further.
Okay.
So, totally understand, what you're asking for. I have 3 kids myself, not little kids at this point, but I totally understand what you're saying. And the deer are, an issue. I live over on Demarest by the reservoir. We have we have deer walking down the street just like you or I. They're just, they kind of moved in and they live there. But I would agree with what others are saying in that you could go with, a compliant fencing and fence in your yard, right? Fence in your yard, you're going to lose some space for sure. But there is a compliant way to go about this, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I think you pretty much heard the same thing 4 times. I get it. I grew up on a corner property. I understand the value of having the fence there. Personally, it doesn't really bother me that much because you would get, obviously you want to get your whole yard inside the fence. But being honest, if if it were an option to move it inside the tree line, that would probably be a lot less of that fortress look right up against the street. But, you know, again, I would say the same offer applies, just like the last application. There's only 5 of us here. We can vote now if you want, or if you want to think about it, come back next meeting. We can carry it until June 19th, 16th.
So if we were
Recall.
to say, yes, we would do one of those 2 options, move it to in line with the house or just inside the trees, is that what you'd be voting on now, or would we have to reapply?
What's the ruling on that?
So if they vote tonight and you don't modify it at all, because you could modify it on the record now and see if they're open to anything, but if you don't modify it, they're voting on the application you submitted.
Okay.
And if you get a denial, or if you get an approval, you could proceed. We do a resolution, you proceed with permits. If you get a denial, your application, in order to come back with another option, you have to resubmit. So it starts the process again.
But we could say that we agree to one of those options right now, and that's
You can
what you'd be
offer that, the
voting
board
on.
can
Okay.
consider it, and it's up to the board to consider it, but it's something that could be discussed now.
Okay.
I would just note the one option, just so you know, you don't need to be before the board for that one option.
That's
It's
right.
Following in
right.
line with the house.
Yeah, you don't even need a variance for that one.
So then I guess we'd like to propose just moving it a few feet inboard on the other side of the trees.
And
So-
maybe if you could also put on the record what the benefit of that is versus what you're proposing now, and then see how the board feels about it.
Sure, so then, thank you. Then anyone driving by or neighbors, you're pretty much having the same look, right? You're seeing the same trees that you see today, rather than the fence with just seeing the top half of a few trees.
And the trees are 12 feet high, and
Yeah.
your fence is 6 feet high.
Yeah,
So in relation, the fence is
you're not
small.
going to see it, pretty much.
So for the purposes of a resolution, were that, let's call that a condition of approval, or, you know, conditional approval, do you need an exact measurement as far as the actual thickness of those trees?
Yeah, because there's a variance associated with it.
Yeah.
But if you have an idea of what it is and you're still with it, like, as long as you don't go more than what you asked for.
I think.
So if they
I
say,
think-
yeah.
I'm sorry.
You could go.
I think some things need to be addressed. You need to know the exact distance of the fence location.
Yeah.
You need to know if the vegetation covers the entire fence along that line.
Mm-hmm.
And also, will the vegetation be maintained, or if it dies, it will be replaced? So those are kind of the 3 things
I see what you mean.
I'm thinking of.
So, without jumping through too many hoops, my recommendation, I don't know if I'm supposed to make recommendations, but if it were me, maybe come back next meeting with whatever your updated plan is and the details that Steve mentioned, because ultimately we do the variance process here, but it's Steve's office that has to ultimately approve the permit anyway. So that would be good to have all those details ironed out. This way we're not leaving anything to interpretation when you actually go to get the fence
Okay.
modified.
I think with the vegetation, it's not just along John Street, it's up and going towards the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want it on the northeast side where it goes to that yellow fence line? Because all that area is considered front yard.
Northeast, hang on.
This here,
North, I see, yep, mhm. I get it.
along here,
Yes.
and then along John Street.
So
Okay.
that green line at the top, that's our neighbor's yard, so I wouldn't be able to put trees outside of the fence
Well, you're
line
going to be
there.
putting your fence in, you're talking maybe possibly 3 feet.
Not
So
on that.
you're,
I was thinking just on the right side of the drawing you're looking at, that would come in, nowhere else. That was my understanding of the,
well, this is front yard. All this is non-compliant. So whatever you're proposing to the
This is in
board,
front, I get it. Mm-hmm.
So
I
we
think you
have-
want to be consistent with that.
Okay.
So you're saying on John, that green line, where there's an existing 6 foot already on the yellow? So are you saying to pull that green up?
Well, the discussion was pulling it into your property 3 feet in order to put vegetation. So as long as it's within your property line, you do the vegetation, 3 feet in, you do the fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can look at that.
All right, I get it.
What's on the other? Can I ask
Go
a
ahead,
question? What's on the other side of the fence? You see the green at the top?
Yep,
From the corner to where it meets the yellow. What's on the other side of that fence?
From the back of the house.
that's our neighbor's yard.
Okay, but what is there? Is there
Always
any
got a
planting,
couple-
are there any
yeah, a couple
plantings along
trees
that?
and-
Couple trees,
yeah.
yeah.
You have to do here.
So
Trees and
along,
bushes.
along that line are trees planted and kept by your neighbor?
Yes.
So the green portion from the green to the yellow at the top, do you happen to know the height of the trees that are there? What's there?
There's a couple pretty big ones, 15, 20 feet.
I think if we had some information on that, that might.
Maybe if you come back with pictures too,
Yeah,
like a
that-
visual
those
might
are
be
probably-
helpful.
So how much of this is non-compliant? How much is this?
That's all,
non-compliant.
all the green is
This is-
variance, because that's front
this-
yard.
this needs
That's
it
all
here.
considered front yard. All right. So, all right, we don't, we can't get into the business of redesigning the application for you. We're just not allowed. But if you come back the next time around with more details and, you know, if there's any revisions, that's probably the best course of action.
Agreed.
Okay?
Would
All right.
suggest you take photos, as many photos as you can, and then what you propose to do. Sometimes you can do a computerized rendering of what you want. That might help the
Okay.
board decide.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This will be carried to June 16th without need for further notice.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Finally, we will move on to 888-25. Mr. Traphagen, thank you for your patience.
We're loading up next meeting, so I don't know what's coming up.
It's getting crowded, I know.
It's getting crowded carrying these
Who
applications.
knew, right?
Your choice.
All right. It's all yours.
Well, good evening. I'll start by giving you a little talk
I think we
about...
need
If
to
I may,
swear
I
you
hate
in,
to
yeah.
interrupt you, if you
Yeah,
could just
go ahead.
raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Peter Traphagen.
And if we could just, before you get into it, just for the board's knowledge and consideration, our office reviewed the application. There was a question about who the applicant was and whether they're allowed to represent themselves because it's a partnership. And we looked into the New Jersey court rules, and it states in section 1:21-1C, it says it requires people, if you're a business, and it says an entity formed for whatever purpose other than a sole proprietorship shall neither appear nor file any paper in any action in any court of the state except through an attorney authorizing the practice of this state. That being said, you are a quasi-judicial board. There's nothing in the MLUL other than a disclosure requirement. It's not listed, it's not clear in the MLUL about these partnerships. Our position is that all businesses, except for these sole proprietorships, need representation of an attorney. But again, there's no statute on it. It's just the court rules, and you're a quasi-judicial board. So we wanted to put that up for the board's consideration.
Yeah.
Just to have that discussion and put it all out in the open.
Okay.
And maybe Mr. Traphagen, if you could put on for the record the ownership of the property and
Sure.
You're the applicant, but it's owned by a partnership.
Yeah, so there are 3 individuals that own the partnership, myself, my son who's here tonight, and my brother who's in Massachusetts bringing his son to college. So I did get an email from my brother. Did I say brother or son? Right. Both. I got an email from my brother Robert indicating that he's in accordance with the proceeding that we're presenting tonight. And my son Peter is here. He also concurs with that. My understanding was, because I've been here before, is that I would be allowed to speak on behalf of the 3 owners.
So far.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My understanding from our conversation earlier is that proceeding in this manner wouldn't necessarily disqualify a decision of this board. I don't see, or I'm not aware of, any objectors, represented or otherwise. So I don't know if that's necessarily an obstacle there. Does any member of the board have any objection or concern to proceeding? We know that your family's been in business there a long time under the same ownership.
And what is the law is there so that Mr. Traphagen, if he didn't properly represent all owners in the business?
Correct. And I think one possible solution, again, Danielle's suggestion, would be an affidavit of joint ownership and approval of this application at some point as a condition of approval.
Sure.
I don't know. Sounds good to me. Everyone on board with that? All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And just to expand on that condition slightly, we'd also ask that you provide any documentation, for instance, like the deed and any affidavits necessary. Do you have any objection to that?
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, good evening. I'm Peter Traphagen, and we have been operating a family business in Oradell for in excess of 40 years. And a little bit of history on the building, which kind of also brings us here today, looking for some additional room. Our building, the Tunis Cooper House, was acquired by us in 1981. The house itself was actually built in 1760 and is now celebrating its 265th anniversary. So it's been there long before anybody in this room, and it's still doing pretty well, actually. We completed an extensive rehab, bringing the house to into the 21st century. And in 1985, we received an adaptive award from the Bergen County Historical Society. And in order to get an adaptive award, you needed to protect the historical significance of the house and also create a functional 21st century building. And in doing so, we kept the original clapboards. We actually sent the original clapboards out and had them milled to the original standards. We kept the floorboards original, and where it needed repair, we used copper strips, which is what they used to use back in the day. We kept the interior beams of the house, the mortise and tenon joints, which are now on display within display cabinets within the house, the plaster walls, and there's even an ice box that's in one of the offices where the Iceman used to come. And if you had an outside door, and this is built into the outside wall, he'd just throw the ice in the top of the ice box, and he'd avoid dripping that ice all through the house. So we've maintained all of those historical aspects within the house. We put a wood roof on. In fact, just recently put a second wood roof on after about 45 years. So they do last. Subsequent to that time, the Tunis Cooper House was listed on a National Record of Historic Properties. And over the past several years, we actually received an award from the town of Oradell. So our property has actually been endorsed both on a local level, a county level, and also on a national level, being listed on the congressional record. The reason I'm bringing a lot of this up is because in 1981, we had an opportunity to just raise the building and eliminate the Tunis Cooper House and build a nice modern brick building. And had we done that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today looking for some more space. We chose not to. And the reason we chose not to is because we feel maintaining these historic buildings is important to the community's history. And I personally have restored several other buildings, not in Oradell, although I'm a resident of Oradell, but other buildings around the state of New Jersey. As we continue to grow within our community, we have reached a point in our firm's evolution of needing some additional room. We're able to acquire the vacant lot next door. It's the adjacent property to our property, and we're proposing an addition to the building, which we feel will be a value add to the community, and it'll enhance the aesthetics of the surrounding area. I'd like to introduce now Bill Page, engineer, and Brian Callahan, architect, to provide the project details and answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Who's up first?
Bill? Yeah.
Okay. If you would be sworn in.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you can state your first name, spell your last name,
Yeah,
give your
first name
business
is
address for the
William,
record.
last name is Page, P-A-G-E.
And if you could give your business record, business address for the record?
Sure, 996 Phyllis Lane, Oradell, New Jersey.
And if you can give the benefit, the board the benefit of your educational background and experience?
Yeah, I've been in front of this board before.
Yeah. We know Mr. Page is an expert witness.
And your license is current?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
First, what I'll do is I'll describe the property.
Bill, you want to talk into the mic?
Sure.
Good enough.
The red mean it's on or off? This drawing is a property survey of the property, and it was surveyed by Christopher Landtelm, a licensed land surveyor. The initial property, which I'm pointing to at this point, is where the existing building is, a two-story office building. This property consists of about, it's around 14,376 square feet. The second property that Mr. Trapphagen made reference to that he had purchased is 6,707 square feet. This lot is a vacant lot at this moment. What you really have here is just a driveway that was to a house that had caught on fire several years ago. The existing Trapphagen property has parking within the front facing Kinderkamack Road, and it has another parking lot on the east side of the lot, which is facing east towards Lot 15. This Lot 15 is also owned by Trapphagen, so we do see on this drawing that there's an area that is in gravel, that cars do park within that area. So what we're proposing also with our new project is a parking easement. One of the main reasons once you purchase a piece...
Bill, was that presented prior in the PDFs, or are those the revised drawings?
The initial survey is the existing. That's in the PDFs that was submitted.
Okay, that looks different than what I have up here.
I think
because that's our set. This one was submitted separately.
Go ahead.
Okay. The second drawing that I'm making reference to is whenever a development purchases another piece of property and wants that to be part of their total integrated system, we have to do a consolidation plan. And the consolidation plan that we show here on this board was prepared by PAC Surveying. And what that does is it shows highlighted the existing property, which is the Traphagen property, and then the addition of the property that they purchased next door. So the total property now is about 21,000 plus square feet, where before the two were two smaller parcels. Now the next set of drawings is the drawings that we prepared for the site plan. Those are, I guess you have those.
The revised ones?
I revised, this one is the one that's...
You sent me a new PDF of revised plans, site plan.
Yes, the only difference is just some notes and things that I added, but this is revised because the Bergen County Planning Board had requested that we make the entrance to the site off Kinderkamack Road, where initially we had the site entrance off Brookside.
Okay, so the board doesn't have that, so that would be an exhibit.
If we can mark it Exhibit
Sure.
A1, if you can identify the title and the date for the record, and how many pages. If we could
It's,
just mark the whole.
Sure. The list, there's 8 drawings within the set. Sure. You want to do it?
A1?
Yeah, A1. And if you could just identify it and then give the date.
Okay, again, the title of the set of drawings, which is what the original title was also, is Preliminary and Final Site Plan. So 234 Kinderkamack Road, Block 221, Lot 1 and 2, Oradell, New Jersey. Now, the first drawing that we have here is...
Excuse me, Bill, and the revision date?
Sure. The revision date is May 15th, 2025.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said it's 8 sheets, so we'll mark all those 8 sheets as A1 as a group.
Okay. Okay, the next drawing, which is drawing 2 of 8, this drawing was not revised, and this was included in the original set. The diagonal lines here are what are the impervious coverage for the driveways. Actually, it represents on the initial Traphagen property, it's where the brick pavers are, or the cobblestones. On the adjacent property that was purchased, this is like asphalt, but it's kind of decayed over the years. And as you can see, the building, the Traphagen building, also on this drawing. This drawing has no revisions to it. Again, this is drawing 2 of 8, and it's entitled Existing Conditions Plan. The next drawing is drawing 3, actually 3 of 9, and it's entitled The Site Plan. This has a revision date, which is the May 15th, 2025. One of the comments that I had received from the borough's engineer is that they would prefer, and I believe also from the planner, that we add Lot 2, which is the adjacent lot that Traphagen had purchased, put their bulk requirements on the bulk table, where before, to be honest, we did not do that. We just had the initial Lot 1 and the combined lot of the 2. So that does have that on there. And as you can see, when we submitted our plans to Bergen County Planning Board, they had a few comments. And again, we had the initial entrance off Brookside to be consistent the way the entrances are and the access is to the site itself. The county said, no, we want that to be the exit onto Brookside and the entrance off Kinderkamack Road. They also wanted our entrance aligned with the road across by River Del Flores. So as you can see that we do have a little tail, the little wiggly in the driveway coming in from the site. They also wanted that entrance 20 feet wide, and the whole curb cut on Kinderkamack Road is 25 feet wide. We do have the expansion of the building as you can see on the monitors. This is what the architect will go into more detail on this, and this is approximately 3,500 square feet. 2 stories, so it's consistent with the existing building, so the two will be in harmony with each other, and also keep the same architectural style of this being a historic building. But what we've done is we've set the addition further back in the site, so you do have the bulk of the parking within the front, which then creates a front yard parking variance. The existing parking that is there now on Kinderkamack Road, facing Kinderkamack in front of the existing building, is still going to be where I guess it would be at the main bulk of the parking for the site. So you would come in off Kinderkamack Road. You have perpendicular parking facing the north side of the parking lot. We do have a handicap parking space. One of the other comments that was brought up is we did make reference to an EV parking space, but the EV parking spaces, as I show it on this plan, is going to be adjacent to the handicap parking space. The ramp from the handicap parking space to the platform or the level grade to the building is a 7% ramp. 8% is what's required by code for a ramp. The length of the ramp is 20 feet. So again, you can go 8 feet, 20 feet, then you have to have a 5-foot level area, and then you can go again another 20 feet if you needed to. So the parking that we show parallel to Kinderkamack Road is angled parking. All these parking spaces that we show here are 9 feet by 18, which is kind of the standard. Also, we initially show this as being asphalt. Talking again with Mr. Traphagen, I believe what he would like to see is this keep the pavers that he has on this parking lot in front of the building as they are. There's a small area of pavers in the easterly parking lot. And then what we propose here, instead of asphalt, we want to go with porous asphalt, so that whatever rain falls on this property would either go into the ground, and it would be like meeting the green requirements of DEP. There is a detention or a seepage pit in the back of the site on the east side. So with the roof drains, what we'll try to do is run the roof drains into that seepage pit. And if that isn't adequate enough, then we will put another seepage pit in the front of the building in the front parking lot. The other thing that is shown on this drawing are some notes. Again, these are like guaranteed notes, again, that were brought up during the review process so far. And these notes are basically protecting the adjacent properties. Anything destroyed, the applicant, Traphagen, would repair at their cost to put that back the way it was, that we'd have no drainage from our site going on to any adjacent properties. And then for the concrete, for the ramp, again, this is within the county right-of-way, so we have to design this to their standards, which is basically 4,000 PSI concrete, 6 inches thick, and reinforced steel. The next drawing is drawing 4 of 9, entitled the grading plan. This, according to my latest discussions with Mr. Traphagen, will be somewhat changed with regard to where we show detention basins. Again, we're going to try and either meet all the existing runoff that's on the site now, so that we don't have to get involved with any major designs with the county and with DEP. One of the comments that was also brought up is whether this is going to be a major or a minor application with regard to DEP regulations. And this is going to be a minor application. And their standards to be a major is that we're disturbing more than 1 acre of a disturbance, which is 43,560 square feet, or if we're increasing the impervious coverage by 1/4 of an acre. And really we're at 0.05 is our increase, about 2,200 square feet increase in impervious coverage from what's there now. The next drawing is 5 of 9. Actually, this is called the parking plan. One of the new items that we added was a detail of the concrete ramp, again coming in off Kinderkamack Road. This would have to be approved by the county because the sidewalk and the shaded or hatched area that I show on the drawing is all within the county right-of-way. Because at this particular location, just the way the sites are, you can see there's quite a distance from the curb of Kinderkamack Road to the right-of-way. So typically it's 10 feet, on most roads within the municipality, but just the way this is much wider. So as I mentioned, the parking pattern, when you come in off Kinderkamack, you have 90-degree perpendicular parking. You have one-way access to leave the site. Again, that's angled parking. And then on the easterly parking lot, we made this perpendicular also. One of the items that was brought up is it's like where you first come in, it's only about 13 feet, from the edge of the parking stall to the sidewalk or the curb. What I've done here is you can notice there's a little jut at the bottom of that parking area. And the whole idea there is if a car does pull into the first or second or parking space, they could back up, pull into that little area, then pull back out. Because I know per code, it's basically you got to be at least 22 or 24 feet, in width for a two-way circulation with perpendicular parking. This is actually pretty much the same alignment of what is there now, and my understanding is that it works adequately. And again, you can see where we want to put in this utility and parking easement, so that if either way this lot, which is adjacent to it, sells, the owner, or if Trapphagen decides to sell their lot, they still have that area of parking for future use. On this drawing, we do show where the EV parking space is. And that's next to the ADA spot. As you can see, another one of the concerns or questions was that we didn't necessarily have enough width for the ADA parking space where you would get out of the car and then make it to the ramp. So shortening the ramp, we do have 13 feet at that particular location. So we do comply in that sense. Also, the question I was presented with is we may have to have 2 ADA spots. The cutoff is 21 spots, and we're providing 21 parking spaces. And so that's why we just have the 1 spot. According to the code, for this lot, we need, 34 parking spaces. And then with the EV spot, we can get it reduced down to 32. The next drawing is the landscaping plan. And here we show details of the different plants that we're proposing. And we are enhancing the plantings where you can run off Kinderkamack Road the most, because that's really the area which is the lot that Trapphagen had purchased. It's going to go through the largest change of design. All the landscaping that is around the site at this moment is going to stay. We do show some small plantings over in the northerly side of the property because we are providing another turnaround area for cars in those 90-degree parking spaces. We are proposing a 6-foot-high white vinyl fence or repairing the existing 6-foot fence that's there. And we do have giant arborvitaes along that property line as a buffer. But to be honest, we can even add more if the board so requires. We do have a variance between where the parking is on the new parking area to the building. Again, there's no windows on that side of the building, and what we want to do is maintain a wider area for parking and circulation. So the curb is about 5-6 feet from the building, where the requirement is 10 feet. So that's another variance that we created. The next drawing is the lighting plan. It's entitled the lighting plan. It's drawing 7. just disappeared. Sure. Yeah, thank you. Our intent here is that we don't have any spillage of lighting onto the adjacent properties. But one thing we will do is that these are LED lights, but they'll be down to the heat temperature of about 2500 K, which is typical for an incandescent lamp as well. We will have these shielded, and a lot of times, and I know being in front of the board here too, that we have a 6-month look-see. And if we do have any spillage and the borough says you got to do something about it, the applicant will definitely make sure that happens. So we will have shields, and one good thing with LED lights, you can turn them down or up. Where incandescents, if you get 150-watt bulbs, you can put a dimmer on it, but you're not going to get the same control that you do with LED lights. Got to you, sorry. The next drawing is the soil erosion plan. It's drawing 8, entitled Soil Erosion Plan. This one does have a revision date. And what we did add is the total disturbance area. We have 12,823 square feet, which is this large area within the large dashed lines, which equals to 0.29 acres. And we did get this approved. Bergen County Soil Conservation District did approve this soil erosion plan. And then the last drawing, which is entitled Construction Details. There is nothing new added to this drawing, and this is just standard construction details for water connections, for storm drains, sewers, and asphalt inlets. Another question that was brought up is the number of trees that would be cut.
Bill, do we have that?
No, this was the initial survey that I have that we talked about before, but I see on the PAC survey plan that shows a little bit more in the trees. Trees that are going to be removed, there's a bunch of trees along the property line between the two lots. And it was a total of 10 trees, the smallest being a 6-inch diameter tree and the largest being a 16-inch diameter tree. So again, it would be these 10 trees, because if you look again at the parking lot that we designed.
Those trees, Bill, had an infestation.
Yeah.
So we had to remove them.
They're done already? Okay, good. This guy still showed them on the drawing.
Yeah.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
Mr. Traphagen said that the trees had infestation with those trees, so he had a lot of them or all of them removed.
Did you obtain a tree permit for that?
We did not. Wasn't aware that we needed it. They were, I do have some pictures that shows you the inside of the tree.
No, you just have to apply for the, the tree permit, and then DPW, you can discuss it with them and show them videos and stuff.
All right.
So as a condition of approval, in the event this application is approved, you wouldn't have any problem working with Mr. Depkin and applying for any tree permits that are necessary?
Sure.
We did submit a soil moving application, to the board. So that's another item, hopefully, we've crossed off.
Is someone going to list all the variances you're looking for?
When I get to the planning.
Okay. Thanks. I'm good.
Good? So far,
Yep.
so good?
I guess the main thing that's still a little nebulous is the drainage. And as I mentioned, Mr. Traphagen would like to keep the pavers that he has now there as the entranceway or travel way to the parking lots. And where he has gravel on the easterly parking lot, he wants to maintain that as gravel. But on the westerly parking lot, which is a new parking area, we're going to use porous brick pavers so that the rain will run through them.
Okay. All right. Break for questions?
Ready?
Okay. Want to kick us off?
Sure.
All right.
Thanks for the testimony, Mr. Page.
You're welcome.
I guess a couple questions I have for you. So as far as the adjustment to the entrance coming in off of Kinderkamack, that alignment that you have, I guess there's an existing light pole that's there today?
Yes.
Looking at the drawing that you had provided, the revised one, it looks like there's a potential conflict, or it's, by keeping that light, it makes that whole entrance kind of awkward.
Well, two things there is I did, you had that comment, and we will remove that and relocate that light pole if it comes to that. And the reason that it looks a little awkward also, let me. Is again, the county wanted this aligned with the street across, by Riverdale Flores. And what I tried initially to do, like what you're suggesting or saying, is to avoid relocating that light pole. So the county has this plan, so if they say we have to do it, I have no problem with doing it, and I'm sure Mr. Traphagen doesn't either. We will shift this over a little bit so that at least, we get a little bit more of an alignment with the traffic from Riverdale Flores.
Yeah, I'd like that. I understand what the county's asking for in that particular scenario. I think you're somewhat accomplishing what they're asking. I think if you shifted that entrance a little bit more to the south and relocate that light pole, it'll make that a much better configuration. Plus, it'll eliminate the potential of somebody taking out one of the decorative street lights as well.
No, that's fine.
We'll have to look at that, though, too, because there is a crosswalk in that particular location there today going across Kinderkamack. And if we're eliminating lighting in that location, that could be a problem, too.
Right, because this little sketch on the bottom of this drawing, I tried to maintain the existing location where the detectable pad is and the crosswalk.
What page is that, Bill?
5.
I think you're on the. You got to go one more to the. There you go.
That's it?
Yep.
I would just note for the record, too, the detectable warning surface, you have to work with our office. I mean, typically you wouldn't, this driveway is not a driveway that I'm assuming is going to have a high volume of traffic, so you wouldn't put the detectable warning surface there.
That's no problem. I would be more than happy to work with your office.
That's fine. As far as the parking, since we're on some of that on that north side, so if I heard correct, so the parking will be 5 feet away from the building?
Yes, it will be.
Is there anything that's going to protect or prevent the vehicles from potentially hitting the building?
We have a curbing through here, so it'd be a 6-inch concrete curb or a Belgian block curb. And we do have, in this case here, because it is narrow, and then you do have at least a 2-foot overhang of a car from the wheels to the end of the bumper, which generate heats. So anytime you put plants that close to curb, the heat, kills the plants. So what we did is we just put in some river stone and some decorative grasses.
Okay. And is that typical to have curbing to prevent a vehicle from going over or outside of the parking?
It's typical. I mean, it'll stop it. I guess if he didn't have curbing, then we'd have to have wheel stops.
Fair enough. Now, as far as that parking area there, can you go a little bit over, advise us what the dimensions are as far as the backup space for the vehicles in that portion of the lot?
In this area?
Yes.
Yeah, we have about 24 feet or more.
Okay. Is that consistent across the board, or, because I see a dimension of 20 feet near that arrow.
Yeah, this is 20 feet. This is what the county wanted. They wanted this whole entrance 20 feet wide.
Right.
So we have additional foot here, and then you do have a little bit more at this, I'm sorry, a little bit more on this location. So you have about 24 feet.
Right. So I guess for 90-degree parking, the town code and typical engineering practice is 24 feet.
Correct.
So in that location, you don't have the sufficient backup space.
We have the 24 feet from here to here.
Right, but by the entrance of the parking lot, you don't.
And this is probably at this particular location could be about 22 feet. You figure if this is 20 for the curb here, then this is at least a 2-foot radius into the parking space.
I'm assuming when you put on your traffic hat, you'll talk about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Fair enough. And then as far as, since we're still on the parking, so the parking as far as the parking itself, is there any designation for employee only, or like being that you have the two lots? You have the lot
Right.
closer to Kinderkamek, and then you have that easterly lot. Is there a difference who can use which one?
Well, in my conversations with Mr. Traphagen is that he does have about 30 employees.
Yep.
And he informed me that at any one time you may have no more than 15 employees, maybe 16 on site. So most of the other people are either working from home or they're out visiting clients. He said that some people actually park in back of the mini-mart, the municipal lot at that location. And every time I drive by here, I see maybe 3 or 4 cars or 5 in the easterly lot and maybe 4 or 5 or so in the westerly lot.
Right.
So his employee base is still the same, whether this gets approved, which hopefully it does or it doesn't. So we are providing a lot more parking than what he has now. And I guess my question or comment would be, if they are going to designate it, I would say this would be the area that would be designated for employees, the easterly lot.
Right, and I think where I'm going with this, I would tend to agree, because while I get that it's existing parking and that's how it functions today, that's extremely tight as far as backup space in there for any vehicle to kind of get in and out. So I don't, is this something for the board to consider? I'd almost say that should be designated employee parking only, not for any visitors or anything, for that location, just given the tightness of it. Because again, 24 feet for 90-degree parking is your typical backup space that you see in a parking lot. When you get into some of the city areas, you do go down to, about 20 feet or so. Anything beyond that gets to be a little tighter, where what's the dimension you have here?
13 feet is the tightest dimension, and that's why we added this additional area for someone to back around to get out.
Okay. That's fine. Fair enough. I guess moving on from parking. So I guess in your testimony, well, before we go from there, so at the beginning of the testimony, I think you indicated today you're currently parking on the neighboring property to the east. That's how it functions today.
That is correct.
So as part of this, you would create a parking easement that would be there in perpetuity for that property.
Correct.
Okay. And that would be something that would get submitted should the board act favorably upon the application. Another item we had in our comment on our review letter was related to the right-of-way on Brookside. I think in the town code within the subdivision section, it talks about right-of-ways typically they want 50 feet. I don't know if you saw that in our comment letter or not.
I saw that.
So in this particular scenario, being that it's 40 feet, if we assume 5 feet on each side, there would be a 5-foot right-of-way taking on Brookside. what kind of impacts would have on the property if that was to be asked for?
Along this area here, which is the north side of Brookside, south side of the Trapehagen property, it would basically reduce, I mean, it's basically a right-of-way taking. It's no construction or anything like that. It just means that his property would be less than what it is now, per se. It would really not affect it, and his sign, which is at this corner, is still out of the 5-foot taking. So in my opinion, I don't see that would be a major issue.
I guess the only thing it would do, it would be on the planning side, it would create probably some additional variances related to the front yard, or I didn't look to see what was on the zoning table, but
Yeah, the front yard setback he has is like 37 feet. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
okay.
So I don't see an issue there.
Okay, and just for the board's right, I'm not aware of any reason why would, that the town's looking to widen the roadways or anything of that nature. Today, it seems like the development there, everything's kind of built up. But it's just something that was in your code that we had pointed out in the subdivision section, so. Okay, that's fine. As far as Brookside Avenue, so in looking at it, it appears, I guess, I think it gets used for parking today. Is that by your employees? Is that, are we aware of how that's handled?
An occasional employee would stop in, say, to pick up some records, could be there 20 minutes. Could be the neighbors visiting, all of the above, really.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And there's no restrictions as far as parking in front of the property today, at least on your side?
Yeah.
I believe on the south side, there were restrictions for no parking.
Right.
Okay. All right. Mr. Page, as far as the proposed improvements, are there any potential environmental impacts as it relates to the work that's being proposed?
No.
Okay. In your testimony, you talked about the fact that it's a minor development as far as the proposed vehicular motor vehicle surface, and then that you're under 1 acre, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then as far as the stormwater, if I heard correct in your testimony, you're going to be revisiting what's proposed on the plans. You're willing to work with our office through that process as a condition of the approval should the board act favorably upon it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. That's the reason I'm asking that. So we don't get hung up on the drainage aspect of things from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They are willing to work with us to address the increase in impervious coverage on the property. So
Makes sense.
what he's presented is, what he testified to is slightly different than what's shown on the plans. What they're talking about is using a material for the pavement surface that allows the water to flow through it. That would then get captured in a layer of stone, and then it would promote groundwater recharge. What's shown on the plan, he has a series of inlets, which then go into a chamber underneath the ground, which essentially does the same thing that he's talking about. It's just a matter of sizing everything accordingly to make sure that it addresses the volume of water. So, just so you
Makes sense.
guys are aware of what he's going through and talking about. Okay. And then as far as any stormwater measures, I guess you test the soil for its permeability and verify as well, the groundwater mounding analysis.
Yes, we'll do that for you.
Okay. And then you would prepare an O&M manual for whatever the stormwater measures are so that the owner is aware of what maintenance and upkeep is required.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is the maintenance of the porous asphalt.
It is, yes. As far as the proposed improvements, will it require a treatment works approval with the state for the sanitary sewer?
The discharge from, the plan is to use all the existing sewer and sanitary water connections. And if he has 30 employees, the amount of discharge is going to be the same with the addition. So I do believe that we will be under it was 8,500 gallons per day increase from what is required by DEP. Okay. So if there is an increase, we will get a TWA.
Okay, fair enough. As far as the site design, you've designed it in such a manner to meet the ADA requirements,
Yes.
and you have an accessible route established?
Yes, again, the main entrance, the way it's being proposed, is also going to be where this addition is. I mean, that's where we're going to have the ADA entrance, and that's where the ramp comes up to this level area, which is the same elevation as the front of the new addition.
Okay. And then as far as ADA parking, you said you made revisions so that it'll meet the van accessible size requirement,
Yes.
which is the 11-foot parking stall with 5-foot access aisle.
Right. This we may have to increase, but we do have enough room with the 5-foot access aisle.
Okay.
One way or the other, we still have the 14 feet.
All right. Again, traffic, you'll talk about all the turning within the property, and you'll get into the parking.
Yeah, I did submit a turning template, to the board.
Now, you mentioned you submitted for the soil movement application. Do you have the total volume that you guys anticipate?
It's going to be a major.
It's not hard to do in town right now. Right? Maybe you didn't. Yeah, I don't know.
I realize how one hand really just...
I'm admiring how you're getting through this.
Luckily, it's not my right arm.
We need to get you a headset microphone.
Okay, we have a total of 50 type of soil to be moved. It's 52 cubic yards of topsoil, but the grand total is 887 cubic yards, and that's basically for the foundation, everything under the addition.
Okay. Okay. So that's fine. So just as a reminder to all the board members, obviously, so they're over the 100 cubic yard threshold, which typically triggers them to go to the planning board. As the application's before the zoning board has the ability to act and approve the soil movement aspect of it as well. Just as a reminder to all of you. I know we say it every meeting, but I just want to put it on the record so everybody remembers that as well. So, okay, as far as lighting, what's being proposed as far as the lighting? Is it are there poles within the parking lot?
Yes.
And then will they comply with the borough's requirement for the height?
The poles are 14 feet. And then we do have a 6-inch or 2-inch riser, from the ground level to where the bolts are. So the poles are 14 feet,
okay,
plus 2 inches, for the mounting height.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And then the lighting, if I heard correct, you guys will offer up a 6-month review after the lights are in place to ensure we have no spillage or any of that stuff onto neighboring properties.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Fair enough. I have no further questions. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Planning?
Yeah. Thank you for your testimony. I guess I'll piggyback off of lighting. I had a number of requirements from the ordinance in my review letter related to lighting. I was just wondering if you had a chance to look at those and if you're able to confirm compliance with those or take a look after and confirm with notes on the plan.
Yes, we'll do that. I'll comply, whatever questions you have.
Okay, great. Now I'm gonna, I think, revert back to the parking discussion quickly. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to do the employee dedicated parking in the easterly lot with the gravel, I think it might be best to have that signed accordingly, so customers know not to go in there. Is that something you guys would be willing to do?
Yes, that is correct.
Like employee only parking type of
yes.
thing? Okay. All right, and then I'll save some of my circulation comments for later. EV parking. So, are you proposing a make-ready space or a parking space with EV charging equipment installed?
My initial comment would be a make-ready space.
Make ready space, okay. And just so the board knows, that's just a space ready with like electrical conduits, stuff for if the applicant wants to install EV charging equipment. And then as well, the parking requirement reduces. Every make-ready space or EV space up to a certain threshold is counted as 2 parking spaces. So the requirement, like you mentioned before, will go from 32 parking spaces instead of 34. But they still need a variance because they propose 21 parking spaces. That's right?
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to move to landscaping. Now you need the variance from the ordinance for buffer area in a few spots on the property. I know you mentioned earlier that you would consider adding more arborvitaes or landscaping along, I guess, this property line.
That is correct, through here. And we could even do some through here if preferred.
Yeah, that would be, I would agree with that, with your recommendation to add some more landscaping there.
Okay.
If the board is okay with that. I think that's good for buffering, for all the cars, for the parking, etc. And now there's no opportunity to add more landscaping along that rear property line against what was that, lot 15?
Yeah, they do have some landscaping through here now, some shrubbery. Yeah, right.
Okay, great. So you'd just be sort of making it in line with the existing landscaping, what you propose?
That's right, because pretty much where we show the curb is where their end of their parking is now.
Okay.
I believe it's like a wooden curb you put in there or whatever. Yeah.
And is there fencing along that property line as well, or just the landscaping?
I'm sorry, was it?
Is there fencing along that property line as well, or just the landscaping currently?
There is a partial
Yeah, it's a
fence.
cedar fence and then skip laurels all the way down the whole property line. We're up top, right?
Yes,
If I
you're
may,
in
I
this
need-
location.
I hate to interrupt. If you're going to give testimony, I need to swear you in and have you come up.
Okay,
So we could do that after. We'll finish with him and then,
okay.
sorry.
Okay, all right. So we'll add some more landscaping along that property line. Some, I guess, arborvitaes.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
Okay, great. And your testimony for not having landscaping sort of in this lower area was because the plants will likely die after a certain amount of time from the vehicles or the
Yeah.
heat?
Well, that's what I've seen in the past, yes.
Understandable. Anything else for landscaping? I guess as far as the use goes, I know you'll get into planning testimony, but I just wanted to get an understanding of like, I know we have 30 employees, right? 16 on site, the rest working from home. Can you just explain like the hours of operation, how many shifts there are typically with the use? Is the expansion really changing anything, or it's just you're just adding more space?
It's adding more space to what we have now. For instance, some areas we may have 2 or 3 employees now, so they would all now have separate areas or workspaces. And, as time progresses, we are a CPA firm, so most of the time spent is really at client locations. So, accountants may come in, pick up records. Sometimes that happens over the weekend so that they're ready to start a job on Monday. And then we have employees since COVID that are working at home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it seems to work, and we try to cooperate with that as much as possible. And having 5 children of my own, I can understand how it's a real advantage.
Yeah. And what are the typical hours?
The hours primarily 8:30 until 5.
8:30 to 5. And is that a change from the current operation?
No.
No. Okay, great. The AC units that are located on site, I think there's 4 or 5 along the.
Yeah, they're facing Kinderkamak.
Yeah.
Are those going to remain in the same location, or is there going to be any more HVAC equipment needed for the site or for the expansion?
These will still remain here, my understanding. I guess when the architect comes up, he'll tell you where he's going to put any additional HVAC systems.
Got it. Okay.
I think there is room for additional units right in that area if we needed it there, yeah.
And the ones in the front, are those fenced in?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then real quick, I drove by before I came here, by the site. I noticed there's like, related to trash storage collection, there's some receptacles in the front of the yard. Now what is the plan with trash collection, removal? How's that operation going to go with this new proposal here with the parking there?
I understand.
Well, we have the trash barrels are behind the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So generally speaking, unless something happens, which does happen, they're not visible at all. So I would assume that either we would add a couple more barrels, again behind the fence, or we would have more frequent pickup. Bulldo is the scavenger that takes care of that for us.
And they're going to stay in that same location where the parking is proposed there? I think
It's actually on the right side of the new entrance.
Yeah, and through here.
It's actually, it's in this area here.
So is that going to conflict with the parking?
This is the property line here.
Correct.
What is that? Is that 3 feet?
And this is your other property line. This is a new space that was added, this one. So I guess in the worst case scenario.
Yeah, so it would either, we'd have to see how that works, but it'd either go back to here, right? It appears there's not enough space there for a barrel.
3, right.
The other is possibly make some area in here, similar to what we have now, which is an opening, a fence that opens up, but is high enough that you don't see any barrels. Either way.
Would you be willing to, work with us to figure out the trash location?
Yes, definitely.
As a condition of approval for the board?
Because the hauler also is going to kind of predicate is where he would want to see the trash location for his pickup.
Yeah. Now, if the trash was going to be in the front, would a parking space need to be removed?
I would try first in this location.
Yeah.
And if we can get that landscaped and looking nice, and that's where I would recommend.
Then a variance would be required for that.
Yeah.
Garbage in the front yard.
Garbage in the front yard. And will it still be required? I guess it would still be required if they pushed it closer to the building, right?
As long as it's in front of the building, it's required that the...
Yeah, because again, a corner lot, you got 2 front yards.
Right.
So regardless, it's another variance.
Another variance unless they decide to put it on the side for...
Yeah.
in the back.
Yeah, up in this area. You could do it here.
I'm thinking this area right here.
That's still a front yard.
That's a front yard?
Yeah.
Brookside and
See, if you take the building line, kind of like with the fence that was just here before, somewhere in through this area.
Well, yeah. That would be possible.
As long as you're in back of the front yard setback line.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work through it. But it's not, we'll confirm no variance is going to be needed for...
Right, we'll make
for
that work.
the trash collection, okay. All right. That's all I have right now. I'll have some more questions once he gets through more testimony.
Okay. Steve,
I'm sorry, what?
you have any questions? And then I have a question for you.
Well, a lot of them were answered. Thanks. Thank you. I do have a question about a truck delivery going into the property, and they pull into the driveway in Kinderkamack. They pull into that new parking area. They try to back out. What is protecting that truck, the rear of the truck, from hitting the neighbor's building?
Well, all truck deliveries are on the back, off of Brookside, actually, Steve, at this time. Because the...
That'll be the case?
Pardon?
That will be the case, that
Yeah.
all deliveries are on the...
Right, because there's a basement entrance there, and that's where we store papers and that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Okay.
What's the frequency of deliveries, just so we have an understanding?
Peter, what would you say?
Paper, water, most.
Maybe you want to come up now and...
Should we maybe hold all his testimony for later so we could swear him and ask those questions, or?
Okay, don't say anything.
I mean, once a month.
But it's not daily, nonstop, like multiple. It's maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks or whatever. If that.
David, everything's digital today.
I get it. I have an office as well, and usually it's once a month we get orders supplied. So
Yeah.
just put it on the record.
Good. Let's hear from Danielle, and then programming question. Should we take a break? I realize we've been going this whole time. 5 minutes?
Only if you want to.
Restrooms? Okay. Questions?
My only question was for the board, and it's a quick question, because I know your engineer and your planner both recommended it for that designating the easterly lot for employees. Is the board inclined to do that? Or no? As a condition? I don't care either way. I just wanted.
It sounded like it was used primarily that way today.
That's right.
I mean, it makes sense because I guess you wouldn't want the general public using the trickier of the two lots. So I think if you're willing to make that a condition of approval, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
my notes were clear for the conditions. That's all I had.
Okay. How does everyone feel about a 5-minute bio break? It's been a long. Okay, so it's 9:36. Let's call it 9:42. 9:45. Good.
Which lots? So it looks.
we have everyone we need? Guess so. Okay. 9:45, we're back in session. Thank you for the break. Where did we leave off? So we covered professionals' questions. Let's go to board questions. Who wants to start?
I have some questions. Yeah.
Feel free.
So if we go back to the parking, and I know we've spent a fair amount of time talking about the parking thus far. So there's 21 spaces proposed, and then either 34 or 32 that are required. So that is a fairly large difference, right? How is that going to be accommodated? Are we saying that in reality you don't think that you actually will need the 32 spaces, or to the extent you do, people are finding parking on the street, parking behind the mini mart? Just maybe if you could just summarize the situation with the parking.
We really don't see a need for that many spaces. And as COVID has really changed the way we operate our business, most of it is teleconferences, Zoom meetings, where we used to have clients come in for every single meeting. Now it just doesn't exist.
It also seems like you're adding a fair number of parking spaces.
I am.
In this design.
That's right.
Right. And I think if I read this correctly, the addition, the actual structural addition is about 1,300 square feet, and you're adding a fair amount of parking.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, and it is a lovely building. I've lived in town many years, and I think many people appreciate the fact that you kept the integrity of the building, which is really very lovely. Since it is a historical site, what approvals are needed with, and I'm not even sure what government agency gets involved in modifications to historical buildings, but I'm sure there are.
Well, it's interesting because the Department of the Interior controls whether you get listed on the National Register. Once you're listed on the National Register, it's really your building. So the only thing that they could do is delist you. There is no strict requirement to maintain, but we do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We've kept the wood roof and the copper trimmings and all of that, but there is no requirement.
Yeah, and I guess in town there's no requirements around what could or couldn't be done to a historical site.
No.
I don't know if that's 100% correct. I mean, I know for the train station and stuff, there's the state agencies, the State Historic Preservation Office.
Mm-hmm.
They typically get involved when it's a historic site, and they may have some comments and stuff. I know I've worked on a couple of projects where we had a historic, it was originally a homestead, big farm, and we ended up putting in some other stuff. We had to deal with the State Historic Preservation Office. We actually had to go to the Historic Site Council, so they have a board similar to you guys here that are volunteer, that hear applications and stuff. But that would just be, he would have to work through whatever requirements he has on his side. As long
Okay.
as-
All right, not for us
and I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in any way, just for the record.
So not for us though to worry about.
It could just be, it's a condition.
Yeah, and we also had that experience, similar to what you were stating. Our office, not myself, because we don't deal with that many historic properties, but I know someone in my office definitely had to reach out to the Department of Interior, so I can concur with what you were stating.
Has there been any correspondence with the state's Historic Preservation Office for this application itself? Not for anything in the past?
Well, I mean, we were designated on the Federal Register. You know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure about the state, whether that's a separate register. But through the Department of the Interior, and I know quite a bit because I've had other buildings listed, and have also gone to appeal with the Secretary of the Interior. So it's tough getting listed, but once you're listed, the only control they have over the properties is delisting, to my knowledge, as far as the federal
I think
register
there's
is
other
concerned.
requirements. I don't know, I know there's a lot of listings in state and federal, and how they're listed, but I think it gets restrictive in what you can do to the property at that point. If it's,
I'm reasonably sure that that's not this board. I don't think
No.
we have anything to say on that, but it's probably worth finding out just so
well, it
that.
would be a condition, you would want a
Yeah.
condition on the,
Yeah.
in the resolution.
Resolution.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then one more thing maybe for me. So we talked about drainage and water and all of those things. And this board just heard another application recently in the area, and it came to our attention that in that intersection of Brookside and Kinderkmack Road, when we have major storms, there's flooding, right? And we've seen videos of it. Again, with respect to this other very recent application. So, and I'm sure since you've been in the site for quite a while, you've experienced that. It doesn't happen apparently it doesn't happen every week, but maybe a few times a year. So when you were thinking about the whole, drainage and how you're going to manage water, and when we were reviewing it, our experts, did we contemplate those periodic significant flooding events that, and again, you can't prevent what's already happening now, but just to make sure that whatever you're contemplating doing now is not going to make that situation worse?
Well, I'll just comment because I've been there for 44 years now. And the only issue we have with water on the property is where the building is going, the new addition is going. And all of that water is going to be controlled. The rest of the property from about halfway down that lot that we just, the vacant lot, to Kinderkmack Road over the last 44 years has had no water issues. It's only the backside. And again, that'll be handled by the roof drains into the seepage pits.
Okay. And then our folks were comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, the testimony tonight was they're making changes to the drainage stuff, so we're gonna have to work through those particular items. I understand your concerns. I was there for the same application as well. We'll work with them to handle the stormwater on their property so that they're not sending additional stormwater off-site.
Okay. And then at some point, are we going to talk about the FAR variance and all of the, positive and negative criteria? So not for now. We'll cover that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a different.
All right. Those are my questions.
Any other board members?
Yeah.
Could I just, maybe you'll address this later, if you're talking more about car flow and all, but you're saying the county required you to make the entranceway off of Kinderkmack Road?
Yes.
And is, therefore, at that point, is that like a right turn only, or can you make a left-hand turn? Because that's just like...
No, the letter I received from Eric Timsack, who's the one from the county who's reviewing this. Again, you do have the right in if you're heading north on Kinderkmack, but he said at this moment they're going to allow the left turn into the site off Kinderkmack.
They will.
But they'll kind of monitor it. And if it creates some major issues, which personally I don't think it will, but if it does, then they said, then we'll discuss it at that point.
Okay. And that goes for like the, somebody coming in to pick up garbage, an independent contractor coming in to pick up garbage, they're going to have room to get in and out of there with a sizable truck?
Well, as Mr. Trapphagen mentioned, all the garbage is going to be picked up from containers, like garbage containers. So it wouldn't be like a garbage truck but has the front end loading on it. It wouldn't be something of that size.
Okay. And that's not required for building this size?
As long as he can handle the trash and keep everything under control, and he does have a private hauler, which is Bulldog or Bull, then everything's under control.
And just a last question on the, parking lot. I mean, if they were to have to get an emergency vehicle in there, I mean, I know the fire department will cover it, but I mean, it just seems extremely tight in there, right, for...
An ambulance would make it, but a fire truck wouldn't. But I doubt very much that a fire truck would pull in there if there was a fire.
Thank you.
They would stay on Kinderkamak or Brookside.
Any other board questions?
I guess a question raised earlier about the number of employees on site. I mean, that's what it is now, and not saying that you're not going to own the property for a while and have this business here for another 40 years, but I mean, if ownership changes and, you have a different kind of business there, and you have 30 employees there that are there every day, then the parking may become an issue in the future.
Entrance will be right here. You're gonna have to move.
Well, there is parking directly across the street, and there's another lot behind 7-Eleven. But my legacy is sitting behind me, and if he does even close to the years I did, it'll be a long time before there's ever a sale.
Good? Anything?
A couple of things. The front lot that's already existing there. The front lot that's already existing there, that's paver parking already, or that's going to be as part of the reconstruction of this whole area?
The one that we show with the diagonal parking?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
along
the-
Kinderkamak with
Yeah,
the
that's
existing-
there now, but I added one more parking space at that location.
And what we're calling the employee parking in the back, that's all gravel. That's going to be the same pavers that are in the front?
The way that one is now, as you pull in off Brookside, you have like granite block. And then off the drive aisle, you have gravel, for the parking spaces themselves.
And is that going to stay that way?
Yeah, that'll stay that way.
Okay. And all that's just allowing water's just going to soak through all that?
Yes, like it does.
Like it's not going to pond or anything in those
No,
areas?
that's what it does now.
And the new parking area? Can you just tell me again what you were putting
Yeah,
in
we're
there? Just
going to
make
put
sure.
in either porous asphalt
Porous asphalt, okay.
or it's going to be porous brick pavers.
Okay, thank you.
That was exactly what I was going to ask about. So I think everything else I was going to ask about was covered, so I won't belabor the point. Everyone had questions up here, so questions from the public for this witness. All right, we have one.
Good evening, Paul Atsunis, 50 Beverly Road. I'm concerned with that left turn coming off of Kinderkamak Road that was just talked about, and you said that it's going to be allowed,
Yes, it is.
and you know that there's a crossing there, right?
Correct.
And you said that you had to design it because of the county, that it had to match the. Did it have to match the flower shop?
Well, there's a roadway that goes to the back parking lot between Calabria Pizza and the flower shop. So the county said that they wanted this entrance aligned with that roadway.
That's the corner of the flower shop, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where this crossing is.
Correct.
On the corner. And it goes across to this property. And the crossing, trying to make it a question here. The crossing comes to, does it come to the front of the property?
It will. I mean, the crossing that's there is going to stay the same way.
It's going to stay the same way?
Yes.
Did you give any consideration, maybe a flashing light should be there to help this situation?
Trying to think.
I think there is a flashing light.
Crosswalk,
There is a flashing light.
Pardon me?
There is a flashing light at that crosswalk today.
I don't think there is.
No?
No, there's a I think there's a
Is it the next
crosswalk,
one?
but there's no.
There's a crosswalk only.
There's no light.
There's a flashing light on the Brookside.
or Lake.
I could swear it was the other one. Okay, I'm not sure, but I thought that was the one.
Well, I'm sure. Okay. That particular crossing, you're aware that people got hit there?
I've lived in Oradell for 37 years, so yeah, I'm aware of that intersection and a lot of the intersections in Oradell. Yes.
Do you know that, people hit pedestrians there? Okay. That's why I just wanted to say that, because I think that that's a very dangerous place right now.
Question.
I'm worried about if people are making left turns, okay? And if you're going to have, are you going to have a garbage truck go there and make a left turn also?
No.
No. It's going to be in the back. Okay, thank you.
Was there, maybe a follow-on, was there consideration to making that a right turn only out of that exit? Because I hadn't considered it, but I understand what this gentleman is saying. That's a very tricky intersection as it is right now.
Yeah, my initial plan was to have a right turn out of there. You know, that would be the exit from the site. But then the county is the one that said this is where they want it, that's the entrance, and it has to align with the roadway into the parking lot.
Oh, so that would be an entrance only?
That's entrance only.
Okay.
Entrance only. But you can make a left.
You can make a left
coming south on Kinderkamack.
Across Kinderkamack, okay.
Which adds the visibility issues and everything else to the entire intersection at Brookside, but that's
a county
for the county
thing,
issue.
Yeah, it's not really to do with this.
We have no say in that.
My other question is the rear portion of that lot, the eastern portion that faces the residential area. What is the clearance on the buffer zone there?
That particular location is probably about 3 feet, but that's existing, and Traphagen owns both of those properties.
I don't know if you understand which one I'm talking about.
The easterly parking lot?
The proposed building that you have there?
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That's 10 feet.
Oh, 10 feet, okay, good. I didn't know that.
And the residential home is quite a distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long
Well, it
backyard.
complies.
Yeah.
The handicap ramp, how does that work? When somebody is going to park in that particular spot, the person comes out, and how does he go onto the ramp?
It's open at that location. I mean, he can walk onto the dash line or the stripe line that we have, and then it's about 5 feet from the stripe line to where the ramp begins. And then he would walk up the ramp.
Oh, so the stripe line is not a ramp?
No, that's not a ramp.
Oh, okay, so where's the ramp?
There.
Oh, over there, okay. Oh, I understand it now, okay, good. And you only have one handicap, right?
Yes.
Is there a requirement for handicaps at all?
From one parking space to 21, they require one handicap space. From 22 to, I think, 50, then you go with 2.
It has to go up to 50.
So
Thank you so
we're
much.
right at the border.
Okay.
Can I just ask something?
Yes.
Just on the handicap spot, when someone pulls into this, are they pulling into the space, head in?
Yes.
So on the driver's side, right next to it is an EV space, there's no kind of striped area on the driver's side for the
No.
handicap person? Does that work? I mean, is that normally how that, sometimes you see handicap spaces that have, on both sides, they have these striped areas that.
Well, a lot of times that you'd have another handicap space on the other side of
Have
the
another
striped
one.
area.
Mhm.
But what I can do here, as Mr. Atkinson said, maybe I can reduce the striped area. I'll make the space itself, instead of 9 feet wide, 11 feet wide. So it gives you a little bit more room, and we still will comply with what's required, the 5 feet for the striped area.
Okay. Any other questions? Close it to the public, board. professionals? Good. Okay. If you want to move on to your next set of testimony, let's look at the clock. It's 10:05 now. Do you have something that's roughly 20 minutes of content?
Yeah,
Yeah?
the architect.
Okay.
If you could just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name and spell your last name and give your business address.
Sure. Brian Callahan, Callahan. Business address is 40A Tillman Street, Westwood, New Jersey, 07675.
And could you give the board the benefit of your educational background and experience?
Yeah, I've been before this board several times. I have a Master of Architecture degree from the University of Houston. I have a Bachelor of Science from the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. I've been a licensed architect in New Jersey since 1997. I've testified extensively throughout Bergen County zoning boards and boards of adjustment.
And your license is current?
My license is current, yes.
We can accept you as an expert witness.
Thank you. I'm going to refer to the plans that were submitted. There are 5 sheets, A1 through A5. They are dated 10/25/24. And the first sheet depicts our basement plan. And in these drawings, basically, there is a sort of a demarcation at the top and bottom that shows to the right of that line is the existing, and to the left of that line is all the proposed. So in this drawing, the new walls are hatched in or colored in, and we have a footprint of approximately 50 feet by 35 feet. There is some sort of push and pull of the facade, so that brings our new footprint to 1672.5 square feet. The basement area would have a small open office area. It would have some mechanical space, some file storage, a conference room, and a stair, egress stair. We are proposing to connect this addition at all levels, and at the basement level here, we'd be taking some room out of an existing conference room to accommodate that connection. That's the A1 sheet. A2 depicts the first floor plan. And the first floor plan consists of 5 individual offices. There is an entry foyer space and also a handicap accessible bathroom. This also depicts a covered entry in the front, and you can also see the ramp slope as well here. Again, most of the existing building is really being untouched, except for sort of where we are attaching the proposed structure. Again, we will be connecting those and sort of some minor modifications to one of the existing offices to accommodate that. And also this covered entry would incorporate a covered porch, which I'll show on the elevations kind of pays homage to the existing structure and the existing covered porch. The A3 would be the second floor plan. We have a couple of open office area spaces, a conference room. The stair to egress stair is here as well. In the back of the new second floor, we're proposing a lunchroom. That lunchroom would have a door that accesses to an exterior deck. And again, this is also showing our sort of connection to the new, from the new to the old would be happening in this area here by that existing stairwell. A4 depicts the exterior elevation. The proposed west elevation is the view from Kinderkamack Road. You can see at the top of that where I've demarcated what's existing and what's new. To the left is the new part, and we see that we have a covered entry that has sort of the same architectural language as what's going on the existing 1760s house. And we're using the same materials. We have wood clapboard siding. We have wood shingle roof. We have some dormers here that penetrate that eave line, which is, again, sort of a take on what happens in the existing house on the front of the house as well. The bottom of A4 shows the proposed rear elevation on the east side. And the last sheet depicts the north elevation. There really is no south elevation because you really don't see any of the new structure from the south elevation. So this would be the north elevation, again, not visible from really many areas. There's a building 10 feet from, or I should say we're 10 feet from the property line on this side. So this is kind of the north face, which really you don't see much of the addition of from the street. You don't see any of the addition. You know what? I think those are the 5 sheets that were submitted. I don't know if I have a couple of renderings that I don't know. I don't think they were submitted, so I can go ahead and mark those. A2. So this is a color rendering that I prepared of the proposed addition. This gable here, this gable end here is existing, so everything to the left of that would be the proposed, but this would depict the covered porch. We have the handicap ramp railing you can see coming through here in front of the proposed addition. And of course, everything over here to the right is kind of to remain as is.
There's no date on that, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's all I have.
All right. Questions? Want to get us started?
Question for you. So on the east elevation, proposed east elevation,
Yep.
on the new addition on the second floor, you have a deck. Is there any particular reason?
That's off the lunchroom, and the owners wanted to provide maybe an outside place for a break or for lunch space. So that was contiguous with the lunchroom on the second floor.
Now, I guess, where's that in relation to, like, the neighboring property behind them? Like, will that be overlooking, like, elevation-wise? Like, how does that play out?
Elevation-wise, I would say that maybe they're slightly lower of the neighboring house, which would be on Maple. Does that sound right? But it is quite a distance from that house to this structure. There's a long backyard. I'm also, by the way, a resident of Brookside Ave, so I'm familiar with that area. Been there for almost 30 years.
And as far as the purpose, it's really just for the workers to be able to get some fresh air?
Create an outdoor space for them, correct.
Okay. That's fine. And then as far as the proposed improvements, so how many workstations will be created as part of what you're proposing?
On our second floor plan, we're showing 2 that are 10 by 12, 2 that are 12 by 12 workstations. Something along those lines.
Okay. And those are just for each one of those is one employee?
That's the plan as of now, yep.
Okay, that's fine. So all in, like, how many offices, like, including existing and proposed? Between all floors?
I'd have to count them up. 8, 9, 10. I would say 14 on the first floor, including the existing. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So that's the second floor, right? And then you also have this first floor too, right?
I'm sorry, second floor, correct. Yep. And then first floor had proposing 5, and there are existing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the first floor.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
All right, so essentially, I think that the testimony from Mr. Traphagen was, I guess you have 30 employees, so I guess each person would have their own workstation?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an understanding of
Yeah.
the space. I know when I originally counted, I wasn't sure on, like, those open areas, how many would go in those, and how that correlates to to Mr. Page's portion of the parking side of it, if you have X amount of workstations versus a number of parking spaces and stuff. But I think your testimony kind of indicated that while you have 30 people, 15 is typically the max that you have in the office at one time. But each person has their own workstation. Okay, fair enough. All right, I don't think I have any other questions of the architect, so.
Okay. Planning?
So your testimony was that the colors and materials proposed are going to be consistent with the existing building, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Only other question, I was just wondering if there's any new signage proposed on site. I know you have that one existing sign on the corner, right? Is there any changes to that proposed? Any new signage proposed for the addition?
No.
Nothing?
No signage on the building, no.
All right. That's, I guess, the only other thing. I just want to emphasize the correspondence with the state's historic preservation office and even the I guess the national office. I think that's gonna that'll help you get some clarity there. So I just want to emphasize that point. I think that would be good. But besides that, it looks consistent with the building. So that's all I got.
Okay. Steve?
Yes, nice design. Did you give any thought to minimizing the addition so the existing structure would stand out a little bit more?
Well, the existing structure really is more visible from Brookside.
Brookside and Kinderkamak.
And Kinderkamak, but from Kinderkamak you only see the end of the building.
Yeah.
And we are setting it back about 20 feet or more from the current existing house, existing structure.
What is the height on the second floor?
Ceiling height?
Yes.
6 foot lower.
Existing or proposed, you mean?
Proposed.
I think we have 8 feet. I don't think we have anything more than 8 feet.
In your last elevation,
Yeah.
you're showing the addition, which appears to be lower, and then on the previous page, it appears higher, the ridge.
No, it's the same. So this gable here that faces Kinderkamak, that's the ridge we're matching. This ridge is the existing 1760 structure is a different ridge. And on that elevation on A5, that higher ridge is in the back, is behind it.
Okay. So you're matching that ridge?
Yeah, there's a line here that I'm realizing now it's hard to see.
I see it now.
And that maybe is what, yeah.
And the height is 30 feet at its highest?
Current existing, yeah, ours will actually be a little bit below that.
The addition will be lower than...
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have for now.
Okay. Questions from the board? Who wants to get us started?
The only question I have is on the new addition, the only egress from the basement area is just a set of stairs or down the new hallway? There's no way to get out of that basement any other way, right?
No, we'd be connecting it to the existing basement, and there's ways out of there.
Other than just stairs?
Well, no, you have to go up a set of stairs.
Right, well, that's what I mean, I see it on the plan, that's what I'm just asking.
As opposed to, I don't know what you mean.
I'm just asking if there's any other egress from that area, other than the stairs. There's no windows down there, there's nothing, everything is below grade in that basement,
Correct,
right?
yes.
So there's no walkout, there's no nothing? There's no
Correct.
window, okay.
Yes, yep.
Didn't you mention there was a prior testimony, there was a walkout for paper delivery and file shipment?
That was in the existing.
In the existing building, in the back, there is sort of non-code conforming stairs that would allow deliveries, I guess, to be made through there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not a walkout. It's still below grade level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other board questions?
I know we were talking about there's going to be lighting in the parking lot. Is there going to be any lighting on the building itself, either in the rear or at the entrances?
Entrance doors are going to be required to have lighting, so there will be.
What about that, the second-story deck? No lighting on that,
That would be an exterior door. There'd be a light at that door.
that door?
Yep.
So do we need to know, or is there any concern about how bright that light is or what it can be?
As far as the light, they would have to comply with the borough's code.
That would be, I guess, part of the lighting plan.
Yeah, and it's more of a residential type kind of feel or lighting to it anyway, I think,
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
I just have one question.
Sure.
I do. All the upstairs, the break room and everything else, there's no kitchen or anything proposed up there, right? It's pure office space, correct? Or break room, lunch room, but there's no
Not like a working kitchen, but a kitchen counter and refrigerator
kitchen,
type
counter,
thing.
microwave,
Right.
hot.
Yeah.
The only thing that came to my mind, I'm kind of embarrassed that this was it, but that deck in the back. I don't know as many people as I used to who smoke, but could a no smoking sign go out there?
I don't think anybody smokes.
I don't know as many smokers as I used to, but I'm just thinking about it. I don't know exactly off the top of my head how close that is to the residents behind, but
Vapors?
yeah, I guess. I don't even know if that counts as smoking anymore. I don't know.
Puts
I don't
off
know the rules.
quite a bit.
Does it? Okay.
Well, where the deck is, the residential home, I'm going to guess has got to be 75 feet away.
Is it really that far?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess less of a concern, but I don't know. No smoking might be nice. That being said, I would say we'd open it up to public questions from the public, but I don't see any public here. So I think that's it for now. We're just about at 10:30, so I don't know what the rest of the application looks like, but I can't imagine we're going to get much done in 5-ish minutes. So if we can pick this up, hey, we're going to get to do this whole meeting exactly over again, because every other application tonight is coming back for June 16th.
Plus others.
Plus others? Oh, so.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
Did the board want, Steve, did you want to ask that question now of Mr. Traphagen about the landscaping and the deliveries, or hold that for next meeting?
I forget what I was going to ask.
Not a question then.
Okay. We'll get, it'll come to you.
It'll come to you.
So June 16th it is. We'll figure out how to make that meeting work. That being said, we can carry this without need for further notice. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. For the remainder of our agenda, old business. The only thing we have for old business is financial disclosures.
Yes, there was an email that came to me today from the borough clerk stating that there's still, that she received information from the state that there's still people that have not filed for their financial disclosure statement. Me being one of them, I thought I did it. I did River Edge. I didn't do Oradell. But they, I think this is giving your last warning.
Oh, okay.
Because they have fined members in the past.
Okay.
So
I don't know if they give you the names of who hasn't, but I mean, we don't have to air it out here.
I have a list of them.
Any way we can text or call?
Notify them again.
Okay. Oh, this was in the packet. Yeah, it was in the packet. Oh, it was on the desk today.
On the desk.
It was on the desk. All right. So everyone knows who they are. I guess the folks who aren't here tonight, if you're watching the recording, please do your financial disclosure. But yeah, if maybe if we could reach out just so that folks don't get fined, that would be excellent. Other than that, any other old business? Any other new business? Oh, yeah.
Well, Steve, you and I can take it offline, but I don't know where the cyber training is. I've got to.
I really don't know at this point. I think it was something that was sent through your, directly to you through email.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you contact Melissa in the clerk's office,
Okay.
they might have information of how to get to that point again.
Yeah.
To do that cyber training.
I mean, I don't have that many emails, right, to my Oradell, right, email address,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
can't be lost, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll get in touch with her and see if she can help me.
And
sort
I'll
it.
ask Gabby in my office
Yeah.
too.
You must, they were pretty persistent with their reminders, so they must just not have you, they might not have your email address.
Mm.
It was noticeable if, because I was
Like two of us.
on the late side.
Mhm.
Okay, any other new business? Public comment? Oh, nobody here. Any motions to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Have a wonderful evening.
Have a great Memorial Day.